talk to you about the career, all the stuff you should be expecting if you're going to be graduating. So,
Wow.
take it away.
So how many in here are really focused on film per se? You really want to be a cinematographer or a film, Cecil B. DeMille. Okay, how many are more focused on broadcasting that was, but is going to change, content media? Okay, and then how many are just really looking at the new media world of Red Cam and everything? Okay, so it's a majority of that, really. And that's what the degree program is, right? Kind of mixed media?
Well, we have a broadcast degree, we have a
Oh, you
more
do?
cinema degree, yeah. So we have
Oh, I didn't know that.
a couple different tracks they can choose.
Okay, that's cool. Okay, well, this will be brief and painless, hopefully, and what we'll do is maybe about half hour or so of just kind of like what's happening in the world and all of media, and then a little bit of time, maybe 15 minutes for Q&A, and you guys can like do the lightning round and shoot me with bullets and ask me questions on whatever you really has not been covered today. So my undergraduate is at the University of Cincinnati in electrical engineering, architecture, bachelor of science, and industrial design. And my graduate work is at Xavier University in business communications. And I was to take over my family business. It was fifth generation, which was an engineering company in Cincinnati. And I chose to go fly pictures through the air and choose a career in broadcasting at the time. And so I really honked off my family. They disowned me, ripped me out of the will, because I was supposed to, I would have had a career for life and 500 employees, and that just wasn't what I wanted to do. You just kind of have to do what you love and love what you do. So I was really very fortunate to get a job at Taft Broadcasting in Cincinnati. And Taft Broadcasting at the time had 7 TV stations and a couple media small companies. But the last thing in the world they needed was an architect. But I wrote to their chairman of the board, Charlie Meacham, and basically wrote a letter that said, I will shine your shoes, carry your briefcase, clean your toilets. I will do anything to work for Taft Broadcasting, because I knew that they were going to grow. And by an act of God, he responded and said, come on in, we'll talk. So I went in my little JCPenney suit and my little tie and sat in the lobby, and it was on a Monday morning, and there's waterfalls on both sides. It was a really opulent building, and they forgot about me. So I sat there for 4 hours, and finally a lady came out and she said, who are you? And I said, oh, I'm Don Archibald, and I'm here to see Mr. Meacham. She said, you're here to see the chairman of our board? And I said, yes, he invited me in. And she said, just wait here 1 minute. So she came back and she said, we just forgot about you. We're sorry. So he invited me up to his office, and he said, Don, what the hell are you doing here? Why, I mean, we don't really need an architect. And I said, well, you know, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to do this since I was 7 years old, the 7-year-old Cub Scout tour where you go visit a TV station and you see all the cameras and everything. And he said, well, I'll tell you what, I was making $94,000 a year in the 70s from my dad's company. And he said, I'll give you $32,000 a year. Can't promise it'll even last. But if you really are going to design my television stations and build our corporation, you're going to have to know how they're going to work. So I'm going to put you over at WKRC TV, and we're going to take all the union rules off, and we want you to learn everything there is, from switching news to running audio to fixing the transmitter to climbing the tower. I want you to do everything you possibly can. And I could not believe, and by the way, that was going from $94,000 a year to $32,000 a year. So the point of sharing this is, this was a genuine passion. It is what I wanted to do more than anything in this world. It was a dream since 7 years old. And I said, I'll be here Monday. And he said, don't you want to give your dad 2 weeks notice? I go, nope, I'll be here on Monday. And so I was the luckiest guy in the world. I couldn't believe I'd actually even get a paycheck for this. And I got to do everything from, and by the way, back then that was Nick Clooney who was on the air. That's George Clooney's daddy. George used to come to the station and play. Who thought he would be George Clooney? And it was really a hoot to actually push buttons and do things and fix things and actually live a dream. So cutting to the chase, in like 6 months from that, Taft Broadcasting made a $1 billion merger and acquisition and bought 36 stations, Hanna-Barbera Motion Pictures, Kings Island amusement parks, all the Kings Entertainment. They bought World Vision, Ruby Spears, all the cartoon companies, and overnight they became a $1 billion entity. And so they called me up and they said, okay, your training period is over. You're now our corporate architect at Taft Broadcasting. I was 27 years old. And so, luckiest guy in the world, I was on a jet on the next Monday morning going to Hanna-Barbera. Anybody here know who Hanna-Barbera Pictures is, with Yogi Bear and Mel Blanc as the voiceover network? So I got to meet him. It was really a dream of a lifetime. So everything was going great. We designed all these new properties. The station was going at such a great rate that a company in Dallas saw the money that was being made by this. By the way, we were the 5th largest media entity in the world at that time, under NBC, CBS, and ABC at the time. And so it was so lucrative that a big corporation in Dallas came in and gobbled up the company. And so a guy in the last office, Bob Gordon, said, Don, in about a month, we're not going to have a job here. And I said, what, now, come on, you're teasing, right? And he goes, no, this is corporate America. And I'm sharing this with you all because this story of corporate America is more prevalent right now than ever before. Take a job, do good in the job, get fired from the job, because somebody else is going to come in and replace you. So I just got lucky because this guy's brother went down in a plane crash in Missoula, Montana, and left him $15 million. And he said, I've got $15 million in the bank I inherited. I'm going to buy 4 ABC affiliates in Nebraska. And I said, you're going to buy 4 television stations? He goes, yeah, we're going to create our own network. He says, you want to go with me? And I said, well, I can't contribute that kind of money. He goes, you don't have to. I had been collecting junk like you do since I was in high school. And I had like garages full of TV cameras and all this kind of thing. He said, you bring your junk and that'll be your payment. I'll give you ownership in the company. And I said, wow, that's cool. Let's do it. So I quit the greatest job in the world before they let me go, because I knew it was coming. And by that way, that would have happened, because it did happen. And we went out to Nebraska, channel 4, 6, 8, and 13, ABC affiliates, and we rebuilt them to spin them to sell. And this is back when black and white television was even still, cameras were even still rolling on some of this. And so I did this for like 1.5 to 2 years, and we had an offer to buy our network, because we had really, I brought in SNG trucks and ENG trucks and satellites and all that, which really didn't exist out there. And so we had an offer from Harry Pappas to buy our stations at double the investment of what we put into it. And so there's a good story here and a bad story. The good story is you make a lot of money because of what the decision was to go do this. The bad thing is you're out of a job again. And I thought, oh my God, this is, I'm in Kearney, Nebraska. If it wasn't the middle of the world, you could see it from there. It was in the middle of cornfields in the state of Nebraska. It was a great decision, but I thought, I am stuck here now. And we had just written an article, or I wrote an article in Broadcasting Cable Magazine on all the things we accomplished pulling this off to sell this for all this money. And so the president of NBC, Al Jerome, who's still one of my dearest friends, he's 90 now, he saw this article. And so I'm sitting in the middle of this nowhere place, and I get a phone call, and this lady says, is this Don Archiable? And I said, yes. She goes, this is Mary Catherine Russo from NBC in New York. Al Jerome would like to speak with you. And I thought it'd be somebody like this rascal over here calling me up for the prank. And I said, come on, are you kidding me? Who is this really? And she said, Mr. Archible, I assure you this is not a joke. Hold, please. And so I get on the phone and they say, hey, Don, what the hell are you doing in Kearney, Nebraska? And it is really Al Jerome, who was the president of NBC. And he said, you know what? We've read what you're doing. We're looking for a guy that has an architectural background and an engineering background that will build our new NBC tower in Chicago. And we've got $110 million to build a 42-story building, and we'd like to have you fly into Chicago for an interview and see if you would want to do this with us. And they had a plane sent to my place of business. I called in sick. and I went to Chicago, and I had 8 one-hour interviews, and they hired me to be the architect for the NBC Tower in Chicago. I was now 31 years old. And this was like, I'm still trying to pinch myself to see if it even is the truth. Because not only was it to do that, it was to do the Olympics for Seoul, Korea, and do the buildings for the IBC Center for the Korea Olympics. And so I took the job. It was now up to $62,000 a year, still not up to what my dad was paying me. And I finished the project and saved them $20 million. And Al Jerome flew in again, and he said, "You did a phenomenal job on this. It's a great building. Hope you all visit it in Chicago someday." It's still there, 42 stories. And I couldn't believe, again, I'm thinking, like, where am I gonna go? I finished this job, I'm either gonna be fired or laid off, or because they don't need me anymore. And he said, "No, we got $308 million in New York to redo Rockefeller Center." And I said, "Really? What would that be?" And he said, "We're going to completely gut Rockefeller Center, which was built in 1932, and it's 30 Rock if you've heard of it. And we're going to do Saturday Night Live, The Today Show, David Letterman, Nightly News, Donahue, and all the shows that are in Rock Center. And we're going to gut those studios, and we need an architect to really redesign them. And we have a budget of $308 million to do it." And so I got on a plane and moved to Connecticut and started that job. And by this time I'm hauling a family along, and they're like, I'm going like on Friday, guess where we're gonna live Monday? You know, one of those things, which is really not a crowd pleaser for kids in high school and changing their lives and all that kind of thing. I hate you, Dad. And so it was the dream of all centuries. I mean, it was, I redid bought all the equipment for Saturday Night Live from the Olympics, and we put it in. It's still in play there. Redid the whole studio, which has a tremendous history. Studio 8H, if you've ever heard of it. It was the largest studio east of the Mississippi at one time. And that's where the Radio City Music Hall orchestras used to play back in the 30s. That building was designed for radio, knowing that television would eventually evolve and would come to be. So the architect, O.P. Hansen, who I kind of replaced, designed those studios for radio to have troughs in the floor for what he felt would be someday called vision cables on cameras. That's kind of insight this guy had. Really bright dude, really smart guy.
It's a super cool place. You can go visit it. And
you go anytime, take the tour. I did the tour, the thing there. Yeah. You can also buy the hat and the t-shirt at the end at the coffee mug. I did that also. And you can actually go up on 8H and play like you're on Saturday Night Live on a green screen, chroma key and all that.
You can visit the radiator that Jim Henson painted.
I've seen it, and no,
yes.
I don't think you can visit it now.
Oh.
It's a beam.
When I took a tour, they had they pulled
They
it
showed it?
Yeah.
Oh, a tour?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's behind the glass. It's behind the glass wall.
Yeah, Henson and my good friend, actually, he started with everything there with Willard Scott. Do you remember the weather guy?
Yeah.
He passed away. He was a really dear friend of mine. They were best buds, and they used to cartoon on the walls.
Yeah.
Willard Scott was the first McDonald's.
That's what they had. They had that cut out behind the glass.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they added later. So anyway, we finished all this, spent about $400 million doing it, did all the buildings for the Seoul, Korea Olympics, and 1992, the Barcelona Olympics, which is cool, in Spain. And those buildings were, so right now, the way the Olympics work, back then, everything was at the venue of where the Olympics was held. So in Seoul, all the buildings were in Seoul. All the editing and the control rooms. We built actually walkways where Coca-Cola and Pepsi could walk over and see their commercials looking down and all that. Now, NBC got a little bit smarter about 10 years ago, and they built a 4-story building in Stamford, Connecticut, because they didn't want to put it in Rock Hall, or in 30 Rock. So that is where now all the Olympics are done, in Stamford. And there is still an IBC Center over in Milan, International Broadcast Center, but it's a little bitty guy, not for 2,500 people like Stanford is. And our friends I've got 2 friends that are over there right now doing the executive producer on this. They could come speak to you guys if you would want. I think you would really enjoy how they are doing the Olympics this year. So to close on New York, everything was going pretty good, and I was really happy and loved living in New York. New York was a trip. Saw 3 murders, saw a guy jump off 30 Rock, landed on his head. I'm from Cincinnati, I'm an Ohio boy. This was like a real culture shock for me. My boss told me when I got there, he said, "So Don, you're from Ohio, right?" I go, "Yeah." "Buckeye, right?" "Yeah." "Pretty naive, right?" I go, "Yeah, probably so." He goes, "The car will not stop for you in New York. Don't trust anything.
True statement.
Don't trust anybody." So I learned the hard way, seeing people jump off buildings and all. So everything was fine there, saved a lot of money, did a good job. It was exciting. Got to meet so many people from Saturday Night Live being backstage. It was like, I could not win a lottery ticket. I met Paul Simon on the night he met his future wife, Edie Brickell, who was the band, and he was the host. And he met her and married her. And just all the people that really were on that show back in the day. It's unwatchable now, in my opinion. It's a horrible show. But back in the day, it was really the hot show. It was really something. And so we got through all that. And then they said, "Okay, you're this weird engineer and you're this weird architect, and you've done these management things and you've done these things for the TV stations division, like in Chicago, and you've done these things for the network division in New York. We're thinking of merging the two in Washington, and we would like you to be general manager of WRC Television in Washington, D.C. And I said, "What's that?" And he said, "That's where you take this hat off and you put the business hat on, and you become a businessman." And you work for Tim Russert, who was the president of NBC News, who's probably the greatest friend I've ever had in my life. And he was Meet the Press and all that kind of thing, but he was also president of NBC News. So they moved me to Washington, and I was there at the time of just the greatest good fortune. We rebuilt the White House. We did the briefing room in the White House. So there was a swimming pool that Franklin Delano Roosevelt had built for his polio. And it was like a wheelchair went down into the swimming pool. It was under the West Wing. And then the Kennedys came and they did naughty things in the swimming pool. You can read about that online. And it was still the White House swimming pool. So they decided nobody needed the swimming pool in the Bush administration and later. So we decided to completely gut the West Wing, and the network people that were involved in doing this created a thing called the briefing room, which you see all the time now on the news. And the pool is underneath that. And that is a big cable tray now. And so I got to sit in the swimming pool thinking, oh my God, like Franklin Roosevelt sat in here in his wheelchair during Pearl Harbor. When you think of the stress of the world that this guy had on him, sitting in that wheelchair in that swimming pool. And we rebuilt this whole thing. I was the only one of all ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox that was an architect. So I got the joy of doing this from, like, because we didn't want to hire anybody outside because of security. You know, anybody just walking around. So I got to run around through the Oval Office and the Roosevelt Room and the White House, red carpets and all that, again as a perk, while still managing WRC TV. Reason for sharing all this is the changes that went on from when I started at Taft Broadcasting, which was 16mm film, A-roll and B-roll news, to the Orthicon, to the Vidicon, to the charge coupled device chip, to the changes in satellites, to Intel. We had a lunch and learn at WRC in 1996 with the White House Committee, Andrea Mitchell and all the people from on there. And we had a visitor come speak to us from Intel talking about the World Wide Web. And my boss, Alan Morley, we won't say his name, he said, "This is never going to catch on. This is ridiculous. Why did we spend a lunch talking World Wide Web? Are you kidding me?" So yeah, I've seen kind of like this roller coaster of technology and how you get the signals to where you're going to get them to. I did 5 years in Washington. My wife and I loved it. Bloomingdale's and downtown Washington and parties and We went to like 3 or 4 dinners with the Clintons and the Bushes, and it was like a dream from the standpoint of cool, but I was not cut out to be a business manager. I'm a geek, I'm a nerd, I'm an architect, I'm an engineer. And I got tired. I had guys selling cocaine on the roof. I had another guy jump off the building. Why didn't he just quit his job? You know? So,
And is an actual trend of people jumping off in broadcast TV?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stress in broadcasting,
Yeah.
which is going away anyway. So, I'd had about enough of this. It was pretty high stress, responsible for a lot of people. We had 600 employees, and they were always whining about something or somebody shoot. We had guns. Guy shot another guy. I mean, it was like, it was not factory. It was Saturday Night Live, but in real life. Okay, and so I like sort of had enough of it, and so I had a guy visit me in my office, came right in the door, and he said, "Are you tired of doing this?" And I said, "Who are you?" He said, I'm an executive search guy, a headhunter. Pardon me. And he said, was that on time? Yeah, we got on time. And he said, I'm from Gensler, the largest architectural firm in the country, and we're going to split the company into 7 divisions, and we'd like you to be a chairman of one of those divisions. And I said, really? That's interesting. And he said, yeah, we would like you to go back to being an architect, but we would like you to head up a whole group. And the first thing we would like you to do is work with George Lucas. And I said, oh, okay. And what is he going to be doing? And he said, well, he's doing this thing called Lucas Ranch and Big Rock Ranch in San Rafael, and we have $1 billion to do it. And he said, when can we start this project? And he said, like next week, if you want to go there. And I said, oh, I absolutely do. I've had enough here. I was fortunate enough to get 3 pensions out of NBC. It was time to vest and move on. I'd had enough of wiping people's butts, news anchors and people breaking down, crying, and all this other stuff. I was sick of it. And so I started with Gensler. They made me chairman of their division. I worked with George Lucas for 3 years. He was one of the most exciting, most powerful, smartest guy I've ever met in my life. Blue jeans, t-shirts, sneakers, cheeseburgers, french fries. Just a down-to-earth, great human being. And probably learn more about film, cinematography, CinemaScope, how he started his career. Got to have dinners with him. And I mean, this is something that should have been paid attendance for what I got to do. And we finished it, and the fees for that were $100 million from my company. They got 10% of the fees. So they did pretty well on this. So I was doing all this work, and Gensler was only exclusively an architectural firm. They did not do engineering. So I was using another firm, larger firm, with 67,000 employees, URS Corporation, based in Chicago again. And they said, we would like you to leave Gensler. We're going to do worldwide buildings for media, and we're going to change the whole landscape of media internationally. And we'd like you to come be a corporate vice president with us. And Art Gensler treated me like a son, just like Tim Ressert did. So I was really awkward about doing this, but you do things in your career that, because they're just right for your career, and you do them. And so I did go make the jump again to close on this story, and I did like 80 broadcast television stations in 7 countries: Dubai, Paris, London, Belgium, Kuwait, Seoul, Korea, Manila, Philippines. Was a candy store. It was just unfreaking believable. So I have 2 million miles on United Airlines, and I have 1 million on Delta, and another 1 million on scattered airplanes that should have crashed. And just really had the freaking time of my life. It was really odd. It was great. So I was going to retire, and I'm getting to be an old person now. And I thought, God, I've done all these things. I'm just really, everywhere I've been to, I accumulated stuff. So I have a 6,000 square foot building in Chagrin Falls. You're all welcome to come see it. I've got like 400 microphones, 100 TV cameras, all the Saturday Night Live stuff, all these things that were gonna go in dumpsters, I've been collecting over all my career and bringing them home. Totally not a crowd pleaser for your wife, but I just did it anyway because it was cool stuff. Still playing a rock band. All my guitars are back there, my audio boards. By the way, the Beatles Fest is in Kent this weekend, for those who care. I've come here for the 5 years for that.
Do we all know who the Beatles are?
Nobody knows what the Beatles are. You know what the
Just making
Beatles
sure.
are. You guys are too young to know what the Beatles are, right? 100 years ago. So to close on this, I was going to retire. And I got a call 5 years ago from CBS in New York. And they said, "Is this Don?" I go, "Yeah." Same deal again. "Did you do the NBC Tower in Chicago?" "Yeah." "Did you do the 30 Rock?" I said, "Yes." "Well, we're going to do a similar thing in Hollywood. We're going to move Television City in Hollywood to a different place." Do you all know, anybody in the room, have you even heard of what Television City is? From CBS for years it was, "Live from Television City in Hollywood, it's the Carol Burnett Show," or "It's American Idol," or "It's America's Got Talent," or "It's all the soap operas, Young and the Restless, Bold and the Beautiful," whatever. All of this was built in 1950. This was brilliant genius on the part of CBS. They built a city called Television City in Hollywood, on the corner of Fairfax and Beverly, the richest corner in Hollywood, okay? And this is a huge white conglomerate group of buildings that every show that was ever done in the 60s and 70s and 50s was out of this complex, okay? So this gigantic, wealthy developer, Michael Hackman, bought the whole Television City for $8.5 billion because of the real estate. And he said, "We're going to move it. We don't want you here. I'm going to put condos here and restaurants and little shops and whatever. We want CBS out of here." So they hired me to move it. And this was about a $10 billion project. I've been working on this for 5 years. It included the Super Bowl control room 3 years ago for CBS, the Grammys, the Emmys, the Oscars, the whatever, all these things. And it's all going to change. Everything that I did is going to go into a dumpster.
Yep.
And here's why, and here's the close of my little pitch here. So through these years of growth and development and technology change and people change and viewing audience, all of you versus all of me and my family, and what you want to see on television or in media, and how it gets to your house has all changed. So does anyone in the room know what ATSC 3.0 is? Anyone?
It's the standard for broadcast.
Well, he would know. He gets the big bucks.
They showed up. They had to read about it in their SPE book.
You get the big bucks for being the professor guy, right? That's how you knew that, right? So here's the deal. 7 years ago, our wonderful government, and by the way, this is not Democrat or Republican or Libertarian or any, it's not even about that. It's about U.S. Treasury Department and Federal Communications Commission, okay? So they decided that there isn't enough bandwidth for Bob and Mary to show their wedding videos at 8K worldwide to the whole family.
Because they really need to show their wedding video at 8K.
What's that?
Because they really need to show 8K.
I know,
wedding
yeah.
video.
Everybody needs to show their wedding video, that kind of thing. So here's the deal. They decided, and rightfully so, that all this spectrum for over-the-air television called OTA was way too saturated and too much, and taking away the video to have this cell phone and your laptops and all the PC distribution in the world have enough horsepower and pipe to send it through. And if we didn't change our ways 7 years ago, there wouldn't be enough spectrum to do anything that you guys are living off of right now on your everything. Everything from your iPhone to what you get in your family room or your dorm or whatever, okay? So they had this brilliant idea, if you can visualize 3 bubbles. Bubble number 1, the NAB, the National Association of Broadcasters. 1,880 commercial television stations and 388 PBS stations. Bubble number 1 has all the spectrum. They own all the spectrum. So if there's a spectrum chart like this here, the slice
Week
down the
one,
middle.
week one in my PowerPoint, which they were probably all sleeping through.
Have they seen
Showed
it?
that, yeah.
Okay, the whole center blue, the baby blue area is television and FM. Nobody cares about AM, it's a kilohertz. Okay, so the 4 at the time, now 3 cell phone companies, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile / Sprint, wants that spectrum. So bubble number 3 are the now 3 cell phone companies. Bubble number 2 is the fox in the hen house. It's the FCC. I've gone through 5 chairmen, Dick Wheeler, Azad Pai, all these guys. What's her name? Jessica Norshall or whatever her name was, who did nothing. All these people went along this path to carry this program through, which was, guess how much money? $1 trillion, not billion, trillion. And so bubble number 3, who has the Easter eggs, and bubble number 3, who wants the Easter eggs, the government bought the spectrum. This has been completed now from all the TV, like TV station in Cleveland here would get like 800 million for their spectrum. CBS in New York got 1.8 billion for this. And that's just to buy the spectrum. Now, this is transferred to the cell phone companies, okay? Reason for sharing all this with you guys, the 1,880 commercial television stations, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, and PBS, which is toast right now, because they've taken CTV away from them. They can't even pay their light bill. You're going to see PBS go in 2 to 3 years. It'll be dust. There's 388 of them that can't even pay their electric bills. They're broke. ABC, CBS, and Fox. ABC is Disney. Disney owns ESPN. ESPN is losing more money than all the Disney properties put together in the pot.
They're also Hulu too.
That's correct.
Yes.
And that used to be NBC, actually.
Yes.
But Disney can't give away NBC. Fox is Fox. Fox was on an up, now they're on a 14% decline for the first quarter of this year. That's not a pretty picture either. NBC, last one, is being held by 2 things. They have the Super Bowl this year, and they have the Olympics till like 2040. NBC will make $1 billion on the Olympics for hard work, 2,500 people in Stamford, Connecticut, and in Milan over 2 months. Last month, the Ellison boys from Skydance, the new power hit in the world, made $1 billion in 1 meeting for 1 transaction in streaming media. TV, which is linear television, SM, which is non-linear television. The reason I share that with you, having worked for CBS now for 5 years, my contract ended 4 months ago. I'm a free agent now. I can come carry your bags. You're going to see Skydance, and you can say, this old guy came and talked to us in our class back in the day when I was in school. Skydance is going to change the entire landscape of media. And here's what they're doing. Everything that I did for the last 5 years, and I'm okay with this, because I got toys. They're going to scrap everything that I've done and all that we designed and built, and they're going to change it to streaming media. CBS will be the first non-linear network that will change from what you guys grew up with and what I grew up with in linear television. NBC, nothing but cheap, no bonus Christmas, nobody cares. Nepotism before competency. When you work for a company, you have these little acronyms. Nobody cares. No bonus Christmas. Actually, they were very good to me, I shouldn't say that. NBC, ABC, and Fox are going to be left on the roadkill. And CBS is on it. And they're spending billions of dollars. Do you happen to see in the news at all what Skydance is trying to buy WB for? They're up to 110 billion.
And those hearings are happening right now on
They're
camera
happening right
as
now.
we speak.
They're
What kind of
happening right
content
now.
they can, who they should be allowed to be able to donate money to, who they can't be able to donate money to. If the government can say what type of content and scripts they actually are allowed to produce.
Right.
So it's all changing.
And by the way, okay, so you take all of this, and if you guys want to write anything down, write these down. Get your little
They have to do a
pen
whole
down.
thing about you.
Okay, this is the close, and then I'll go to Q&A or whatever. Write these down. So my whole world right now, I'll give you like 10 of them or so. So right, and I'm going to have a little quiz and see if you know what any of these mean. I know you know what 5 of them are. Okay, AI, AR, VR, AD, IoT, OTT, M2M, 8K 24G, 6G mobile, ATSC3, SFN networks, and data analytics. That's where your graduation world is going to be, and where it's going to live, and what it's going to do to give you jobs and put entertainment and media into your home. Do you know what verticals are?
Yeah.
Okay, I figured you would. Right now, to close on my thing, I'm working on 3 projects. I'm doing an entertainment center as an architect in the Bahamas, in Nassau, on Providence Island. And that's going to be for a entertainment center for motion picture and doing pictures in the Bahamas, in the Caribbean, okay? Really exciting project. I've been working with them for a couple of years. I'm also working with the Native American tribal nations in Oklahoma, 5 Indian tribes, and they're wonderful people. I'm doing affordable housing for their disabled veterans and elderly, and they are looking at creating their own media networks, okay? There are 38 tribes in the United States of Native Americans. This is an exciting topic just by itself. I'm working with a very famous architect here in town, 92 years old, Thomas Zahn, who is the partner to R. Buckminster Fuller, the inventor of the geodesic dome. We're going to put the world's largest dome over Oklahoma and Tulsa for the city of the future, an all-technology city of the future. I tell you this because these are all the things you guys can do when you graduate. I'm also working with Amazon in Los Angeles for the NBA headquarters, which is an all AI replacement of broadcast network television network. The sets that they bought from China for AI were $34 million. There will be no pedestals, cameras. All the cameras will be on drones in the building. And it's ASI, Artificial Super Intelligence. The 4th thing that I'm working on right now, which is like my hobby job, is very close by here, you can walk to it, in Burton, Ohio. So these wonderful people from Hollywood who went to Berkeley bought a high school. You've probably seen the movie We Bought a Zoo with Scarlett Johansson. Well, these guys, we bought a high school, okay? They spent a couple $1 million. They bought 38 classrooms and 2 big giant gymnasiums, of which my son played in when he was in high school. And they hired me to be the architect to make it into a broadcast, I can't believe I said the B word, a soundstage motion picture complex right here nearby. This is so exciting to me. They're bringing Hollywood motion pictures here. Do you guys know who Francis Ford Coppola is? He did the Godfather and Couple of Now or whatever. Okay, he's coming here to do a movie, a horror film, in black and white film. Kodak is donating all the film stock. This is a tour for your guys, by the way. This is awesome. We have Megan Fox coming, Martin Sheen, Timothy Oliphant, whoever he is, somebody else. They're coming out to do this movie in 2 months. And, by the way, I'm pumped over this. I want a picture with Megan Fox. That's all I care about. So anyway, have you guys seen a movie called Subservience? Write it down. Go home tonight and watch it on Netflix. Subservience. Subservience is a picture on Netflix, free, and Megan Fox is the star, and she is a robot. And it is the best movie to show you what AI is doing with AI taking over AI. It is a great movie. And guys, it's worth watching it just for Megan Fox as a robot. She's the best robot you'll ever see in your whole life. And I get to meet her after, I think. So anyway, I'm telling you all this because all of this stuff is changing right now. By the time of freshmen in this class, by the time you get to be seniors, television is probably going to be gone, off air, OTA, or different, certainly different, and certainly get to you in a different way. All those acronyms that I shared with you guys, which I'm happy to answer any Jeopardy questions there if you want. What does SFN mean and so on. Those are all your future. Those are my last 5 years with Skydance. Those are where you guys are going to graduate and go have to make a living in a future profession that doesn't exist anymore as I grew up in. I made a ton of money on 5 pensions in a broadcast world, B-world, that gave me what I wanted to do what you love what you do, make every day a weekend. I got to do that. You guys have a different landscape in front of you. So I'm the bad guy coming here that this wonderful man invited in to tell you that all of this is your foundation for where you're going. But let me tell you right now, in 3 years, you're not even going to recognize the media industry, and you're not even going to recognize NAB. So I go to 5 conventions a year. The NAB, National Association of Broadcasters. That's in April. You guys are going, some of you I see, you're underwritten to go.
And
I
if
think
you're
it's
not,
great.
you should go.
Yeah, you should go. You should find the money from your parents.
That's the
It's gonna all be
networking
AI.
event you should attend.
It's 4 million square feet. 4 million square feet of coverage. This will be my 47th NAB. I watched it go from
most things
film
there cost
to-
$4 million too.
What's that?
Oddly enough, most things there cost $4 million.
Most things do,
Yeah.
most things do. The other one is CES, it's over now. That's the Consumer Electronics Industry Show.
And that's where you buy AI toilets.
That's right. And by the way, that's where they have robots playing ping pong for 4 days and never miss a ball.
Robots
All AI.
folding your laundry.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's
Tender
like, it's
robots.
all like, it's a super AI, okay?
A refrigerator that tells you what's in your refrigerator.
And what needs to be filled, and that's done with M2M. Somebody's gonna ask me about what M2M is. And then the other one's IBC in Amsterdam. Amsterdam is where all the technology is. I've gone to like 10 of those. Amsterdam is where you learn where the Apple Watch is gonna go, or what the thing is gonna be, and where it's gonna go to the next thing.
The Apple Pin. Is there
Yes,
a product?
absolutely. Yeah, this guy, see,
You
that's
need
why
a
he's
pin-
the.
you need a
he's the
pin
pro-
to remember everything that you do.
He's why he's the professor. See? Why the big bucks, all over here. And then the last one is CTIA. CTIA is usually in September in LA, and that is the cell phone world of we're taking you over, and they are.
Where you get the cell phone that unfolds 19 times.
Oh, yes. Well, the whole thing of like the deal with, Uber, Lyft and that, and the robot takes you to work and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's like the summary Reader's Digest version of like some sharing. This thing with ATSC3, what it really is doing is it's going to take the 1,880 big television towers, like out on Parma Hill here locally, those are all going to go away. And guess what's going to be built in America in the next 3 years? And it's already started. 400,000 small towers, 200 to 300 feet above grade. And that's going to be your mobile distribution of what's called the American Standards Commission change that wipes out television and makes everything go over a cell phone network.
I brought
is
in a
happening right
peplink for them to see.
What's that?
I brought in peplink for them to see.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, see, that's great. You're learning it here. So with that, I hope that wasn't too boring. I was had little notes here, but I guess I covered everything. If you have any questions on like what some of those acronyms are, or why am I in this classroom to do this for a business, I will tell you this. I mean, for me, honestly, guys and gals, I've had the greatest life a guy could ever even dream of having. I mean, I loved what I do. I've been paid really well. I was making 400 grand a year in New York, and so I came out of my dad's company pretty well. And I was making $1 million a year after that with Gensler. So when you look at like what you can do for your living and have your passion, and still make a good, you still got to raise a family or live and drive a Ferrari or whatever you want to do. There's this balance of what you want. You guys are in a candy store of I can have this, I can have this, I can have this. It's no longer just television, motion picture, or cartoons or whatever. It's this myriad plethora of candy store, like one thing you can go into is, it's got 10 more spin-offs. So the last thing so right now, there's the networks, ABC, CBS, and Fox, and PBS, gone. You've got group ownerships, the group ownerships who are running the show right now. Sinclair Broadcasting. Sinclair, they're right now, so far, and probably will change, number one, Nexstar. Nexstar just bought Tegna. By the way, I did Channel 3 here in town, WKYC, with Gensler. And that's an empty building right now. I was just down there 2 weeks ago. All those people are gone, except for news people, sales people, and a couple business people. That's all those people that went to that route, that did that, all those people who had been laid off or gone to a hubbing situation. So,
Want to explain what that is? Because I don't think they know exactly
group ownership thing?
what hubbing is.
Oh yeah, sure, of course. So to close on the ownerships, which segues to the hubbing. So you've got Sinclair in the number one. They have like 400 stations, I think, now, or whatever. Nexstar has about 300. Tegna's going to be absorbed by them. They're eating their young. There's Gray, who's Channel 19 here in town. I'm doing their new building. That's WOIO, WUAB, Channel 43 and 19, and Telemundo. And then you've got Cox Broadcasting. They're running the show right now. You do not want to go to work for a network. That's going to be short-lived. You'd want to work for the group ownership. When you look at what these group ownerships are doing, segue to hubbing, back in the day, you'd have a station that had like a master control that would send the signals out from all the different parts of the building over the air, and you'd have graphics, and you'd have promotion, and you'd have programming. The group ownerships got together and said, why are we doing this and spending all this money having every single station do this? Let's create a hub in Topeka or San Antonio or Atlanta, and let's bring all the control points to that point instead of having all these people. Well, they did that, and guess what they did? They laid off all the other people that were in there. That's why I'm sharing some of this, like, where you get a job and lose a job and get a job, lose a job, okay? Because you guys, my dad worked for the same company all of his life with the same parking place and the same desk. I've had 11 employers. You guys will probably have 20 or 30 employees in your career. Because that's just where the paradigm is shifting to. That's where it's going. But the hubbing thing right now is huge because that has become an efficiency for these 1,800 stations to operate with less money, less people, and robots are doing everything. Robots are doing the button pushing. So when I was a master control operator back in the day, I was actually a master control operator during the shuttle disaster thing. You know, everybody came in and watched me press the buttons, and like you talk about, hey, did you go fishing, Bob, last week? You know, it was like this real interactive, people-driven job. You know, you had pushed a button, ready one, dissolve to two, white to three. All that's done with an automation system now. It's all automatic, all paper, all people gone away. So, did I miss anything that maybe is of critical importance to graduating, people going out to get a job, kind of?
The new design of studios, now they're going to be kind of smart.
Excellent, great. So actually, Burton, Ohio, the one we're doing out there, is what's called the new buzzword. Now you gotta write this one down. SMART, all in caps. The smart studio, the smart building, the smart city, the intelligent studio. Things used to be plugged into a place, I'm sure you have in that studio over there, called a broadcast service panel. No longer called that. It's an intelligence service panel. Got a brain behind it, and a router in the other room.
IP addresses.
All IP, correct. There, you know what SMPTE 2110 is? Anybody in the room? Another one to write down. That was an acronym I should have shared with you. SMPTE is the Society.
It's on your test.
Pardon, was
That's
that?
on their Society of Broadcast Engineers test that they have to take for this class.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Well, I've been a SMPTE member since 1979. I've actually been on the Ohio board and all that kind of thing. SMPTE is Society of Motion Picture and Television Engineers. They have created a new standard called 2110. 2110 takes bundles and bundles and bundles of what used to be coaxial cable and wires and push-hill pair and what you probably have in this building maybe.
Oh.
And it takes it down to one of my little hairs. Here. on a fiber. And it goes open bandwidth with no latency. So the Milan Olympics can go from Milan to Stanford on 8K 24G fiber instantaneously, no delay, and open color saturation bandwidth. That's what 8K 24G is. That's only about a year
It's
and
so
a
good
half.
they can control the studio monitors for the talent from
Yes,
Connecticut.
yes, that's right. Bidirectionally, because you know, you guys grew up with where the newscast would go. Okay, we're going to Mary live out there at the murder scene, and Mary's standing there like a dummy with her stick mic. And, okay, Mary, what's it going to be? Mary stands there and goes,
And then starts off.
"Hi, Bob. Yeah, we're out here at the murder scene." Well, that was all called echo, and it's a delay. Well, that's with the new fiber. It's instant. And when you figure it goes around the world at that. Cleveland Clinic is doing surgery. My wife works for the clinic. They're doing surgery from Dubai to downtown Cleveland with crosshairs. Can we let somebody in?
Yeah. She's an architect. She just came to
Another
visit.
architect.
She came to visit you after lecture.
That's why architects are always late. That's why. That's why.
Sorry.
I can say that.
Over there.
But I know one. You have another chair?
Yeah.
So anyway, to close on that one, that's what that little acronym was that I shared with you.
In the
And
smart
that was it.
studios, you're gonna be able to bring in any equipment you want to basically be able
What's
to
that
use it.
again?
In the smart studios, you'll be able to bring in any equipment.
Oh,
you
yeah, well,
want.
that's actually, what I'm doing right now, my studios that I'm designing are, they are smart studios, and they have an ISP panel strategically placed all over. Nobody's buying cameras or lighting instruments or even audio gear because it changes every 6 months, 4 to 6 months. So I grew up in an area of what was called linear. Maybe every year at NAB you learned about the new toy or the widget. Every 3 months these things are changing. They're logarithmic now. They're changing every 3 months. So the smart thing would be to do, no pun intended, is to build a smart building that can take any toy plugged in and have all the bandwidth in the wall go back to a big server, a router, and that's your brain. And you can plug anything in you want and bring your own bring your own camera, BYOC, and plug that in for the toy. And because like right now, that even invested, so my whole barn is full of $200,000 and $300,000 cameras. That there is nothing wrong with them. There just was a better camera made. A new toy was made. So I've got like Ikegami with $80,000 lenses and all that. They were going to go to the dumpster, and I was there at the dumpster. Put it in my car and took it home. Anyway. Was that, were we okay on time?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Why don't you just ask me some questions or something? Is that okay what I gave you? Is that like a good roundabout? Yeah, Mr. NAD, going there.
What's M2N?
What's that?
M2N.
M2M, machine to machine. Machine to machine is part of the ATSC spectrum that allows a parking meter to tell you you've been there too long, send your house a bill, and you get a ticket for it. It also tells the Coke machine is empty, come fill it. This is the real deal for all the infrastructure that there's like 100 things that it's controlling, but it's machine to, it's number 2M, machine to machine. And this is taking over our whole world. It's basically robot control of supply and demand, if you will. Yep. Big deal too, all over. Yep, you had a question.
So you say that there's like a candy store of like opportunities coming and all this sort of stuff.
Yep.
But do I need like, an engineering degree and all this sort of stuff to be able to like get the knowledge to, have the skills that are high
My
level?
quick answer on that is absolutely not. Because here's the deal. What I've seen over 5 years at CBS Paramount is changing so fast, there's no university on this earth that can keep up with it.
I tell them, schools are 10 years behind the times.
They are.
What you're
They
learning
are.
today is 10 years old knowledge.
Sorry, they are. Not
Sorry.
architecture. So no, I honestly, and all kidding aside, it's going so fast logarithmically. So SMPTE 2110 is going so fast that CBS is having trouble keeping up with it internationally for distribution. There are some things that I designed in the system out there that probably will be changed, but right now it's what's on the air. It still doesn't work. It's still not working.
They saw that
And Ross is
last
part of
week
that,
with
by
the
the way.
Black Magic.
Evertz
I
and
brought
Ross.
Black Magic something 2110 stuff in here.
Yeah,
And they
you
saw
have some
one-
in here?
yeah,
Oh, do you?
No, I own it personally. So one of the monitors
Oh,
went out.
okay.
You know, so they saw how it sometimes doesn't like to work.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that, so you got, so they have a little splash of this? of
They
what-
have a little splash of it inside.
But in your world, by the way, it will not be bundles of wire linking buildings together. It will be simply 2110 fiber or AK24G. And that is, what that means is this enormity of what used to be ceiling cable trays full of RG59U coax cable, which I grew up on. All that's gonna go away, what's kind of gone away. And that's what you're gonna see in your world. You don't have to be an engineer to figure that out, by the way. Actually, it's more, honestly, it's more IT.
They saw how one of the Black Magic boards failed because they use surface mounted components and they heat up
Yes.
and they pop off.
That's
Yes,
exactly
so
what
they witnessed that.
I came through a time when you actually soldered those things on there.
Yeah. so now
Surface
they don't-
solder now just floats it over the top.
And then it overheats and it melts the solder.
Well, most of the things that I have in my barn have been given to me because nobody wants to fix anything anymore. Diagnostics are not worth the engineer to fix it. They throw it away and buy a new one. So I got a lot of great stuff because nobody wanted to play with it. So I'm a ham radio guy. I'm a total nerd, total geek, okay? Like CQ. I actually talk to the world. My wife goes back and says, iPhone, internet. Why are you doing this? You know, I got tower. I'm the neighbor from hell, towers and all that, and antennas. And so I can talk to Africa and I can to Russia and all these places all over the world. And for me, that's exciting because we all share the same technology love. And how did you do your antenna to get it over this far and all that kind of thing? It's a hobby thing. But I've learned more in ham radio than I ever learned in engineering school. And that's because it's hands-on. It's the real deal. I went through full-blown electrical engineering at UC, and it was a killer, you know, calculus and all that.
They didn't get the good old Radio Shack days.
Oh, I lived in radio stuff. By the way, they were at CES.
I know.
Did you know that? Did you go to CES?
I did.
Oh, you saw them?
And I saw all the knockoff Radio Shack
You saw
products.
RCA and you
Yes,
saw Radio Shack.
that they put inside of a box.
They're coming back.
And
They're all
they tried,
coming back.
yeah. Except they don't sell any parts anymore. All now they sell is like, it's a radio, you can buy it.
Let me ask one other question. Anybody in the room know what diginets are? You know what the word diginet means? OTA diginet? Okay, so I won't steal his thunder. I'll let him tell you the story. So basically, you still got, with all this cable and fiber and satellite distribution, you still got over-the-air broadcast while it's lasting out on Parma Hill, okay? You can still put a coat hanger on your antenna and get
Signal.
a signal, right. So I went literally to Radio Shack, went to Drug Mart, and I found this little $18 antenna, and I put it on my thing. I get 30 stations off the air, free. And they're called diginets. So you got like channel 19, channel 19.1, .2, .3, okay? So for your $19 antenna, you can watch every show that was known to man growing
That's on your
up.
test as well.
Is what?
That's on a question on their test too. What are all your subnets?
Oh, yeah, okay, so I mean, by the way, while they last, I don't know how long they're gonna last, because I think, you know, ATSC is gonna wipe all that out. All those antennas will go when the towers go down. But right now, for people that can't afford cable or whatever, there's a lot of like elderly and older people don't even know this exists. And it's all free. You put this little $20 antenna on the back of your TV set with an F connector, and I put a little, I get Youngstown, Canton, Akron, whatever, I don't get Toledo. But just to let you guys know, that whole world is out there. It's gonna go away, but it's out there still. And if you want some free TV, you can do that.
What was your biggest, weirdest thing about the troubleshoot?
That was good. That was very good. I think the scariest thing I ever had was on WMAQ in Chicago. So the original station was in a building called the Merchandise Mart, which was the largest building in America before the Pentagon. And it was on the top floors there, owned by the Kennedy family. And it was there since 1932. And it was a well-oiled working machine. So I designed the NBC Tower, which was a 42-story building that was to be the new home of WMAQ. And all of our antennas were on top of Hancock. So we had 20 hours to move from WMAQ old to WMAQ new on a Saturday evening, October 1st. And there was one moment at 5 in the morning where we did a switch. And you talk about going to the bathroom quite a bit before that, because everything hinged on that switch working. And we had, it was like $30 million technology package. All brand new technology at the time. Automation was new. First robots in America, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, these little robots running around. They were all new technologies. So they have there were 7 of them. They have all 7 of those in sync, in concert. Switch, when you threw one switch. It was a big hold the breath. And it did, it clicked. And I was so nervous and so worried. And if it didn't work, I would never work the rest of my career probably. That was it. Got lucky, probably. Anyway, any of those acronyms? So you got AI, artificial intelligence, ASI, artificial superintelligence. Right now, Sinclair Broadcasting in India, right now, is designing chips that design chips. The chips are being designed by Hal the Robot from 2001: A Space Odyssey. Those chips are not being designed by human people. That's ASI. You've got AR, which is augmented reality. I did all the Weather Channel for 10 years. All the augmented reality that they show where the water comes up in your car and flash floods and all that, that's AR. VR is virtual reality, as you know. Virtual reality, our Burton project is a 200-foot white cyclorama virtual reality stage. It's all Star Wars. It's all green screen. IoT is Internet of Things. You probably know what that is. OTT is over the top. Over the top is the term given to streaming media. Streaming media, when it was new, had a set-top box on top of the TV that was a box. It switched it. Just like when you say the cloud, a lady asked me, how high up is the cloud? The cloud is here. The cloud is only called the cloud because IT guys made a cloud when they took the lines on their schematic drawings to it, okay? So, and then I had, what other, and you were writing these down, how many?
6G mobile. Wow.
6G mobile, okay, right now, that's a good one, glad you brought that up. So last month, this is important too, that's a good one to bring up. Last month, Japan accomplished full transmission saturation and use of 6G bidirectional mobile. In America, this was not supposed to happen until 2030. This is a big deal. This enables the smart city in America or worldwide. That's a big deal. And it just happened. So yeah, we're on 5G right now, which sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. Yes, sir. Yep.
Me?
Yep, sure you.
This is going to be a bit of a wordy and long-winded question. I'm dealing with a sinus infection, so
Sure, go ahead.
But you were talking earlier about like a bunch of different broadcast stations that were like slowly losing viewership.
Yeah.
And one in particular, you said Fox News dropped like 14%, and that's still.
In the next quarter, they're looking to go that way, yeah.
Yeah. I personally feel there's several factors that contribute to that. You know, like presidential disapproval ratings, and
Oh, absolutely.
I think another thing too that people don't think about is that their core audience is literally dying. You know, like a
Yes.
lot of Fox News viewers are, you know, the elderly, 65 and older.
That's exactly correct.
So what factors do you think contribute to that lower viewership, and do you think that it's going to spell further disaster for the station, or do you think it's just temporary?
Actually, that's a fantastic question because that is your future. And I think the decline of OTA, over-the-air viewership, right now is, first of all, your generation, and this is a compliment, you all are so smart and so informed and so internet grown up that, I'm still a goofball kid. You all are jaded by not being entertained. You want to be entertained. You want I want my MTV now. You want the answers right now. And if you don't find it, you look it up. And you go on the internet, or you do whatever, okay? My generation, okay, I'll just change the channel. You know, I'll look for something else. Netflix has been probably the impetus to really, I've done 2 Netflix stages. It is brilliant what they're doing. So, I mean, when you look at binging, okay, binge networks, my wife and I get hooked on this stuff. You go through like, maybe, I'd say it's like, you know, The Midwife or whatever, called The Midwife. You get 12 episodes. You're gonna watch 80, you know, seasons of whatever. You get to a point where you're jaded by it, you're bored, you just go to the next thing. He said, I'm done with that. I'll just go, we'll find another one, you know. With like 800 channels now of viewership for what you all can have in your home or on your phone, this is unlimited. So the big thing that Burton is doing is the vertical. And by the way, I'm learning this as I go. I didn't grow up on this. The vertical being your phone is vertical, okay? China's been doing this for like 5 years and making a ton of money on it. So Burton is focused on Francis Ford and all this stuff and the people coming out here and the vertical distribution. This is changing everything in how entertainment's going to be delivered. And I'm not going to really see this go with my age and everything, but you guys over the next 10 years, I think this is going to be an explosive paradigm shift again of where this is going to head. It affects in viewership because a lot of my generation just won't put in the time to go do it. And you guys are animals for finding new excitement and new pizzazz. Agree?
I had another follow-up question.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, hope that answered part of it.
So you mentioned, yes, it did.
Pardon me.
You mentioned, I can't remember specifically what station it was, but them moving towards more streaming-oriented broadcasting as opposed to like, over the air
That's
broadcasting.
CBS. Yeah.
CBS, yes.
Yeah. That's what CBS is a network.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, apology for wrong.
No, you're fine. That's fine.
In terms of going back to Fox again, knowing their core audience and knowing that they're predominantly older people, do you think that they are considering moving towards streaming or not? Because I understand that there's probably a generational conflict where it's their core audience probably has grown up only through television broadcast and is not familiar with streaming, but at the same time, audiences are shifting towards streaming more now. So do you think that there's a dichotomy there?
This is another good question, okay? These are all leading questions, and I hope they're beneficial to all of you. But okay, let's look at Fox. Fox was owned forever by Rupert Murdoch, one of the richest guys in the whole world, and definitely had his own share of politics and 5 wives and the whole bit, okay? And 5 Wives comes into this because his present wife and former wife kids are running the network now, because he's like, what, 90 or whatever. Okay, so like there's Larkan and I can't figure out their names now. Anyway, the 2 boys, their wives are running the network. And that's going to be another shift. That's going on right now. That is going to be a use it or lose it condition of you either change or you're going to lose your network.
And we're seeing that. We're seeing the 5 o'clock, 3 o'clock news go away. We're seeing them just do.
The changes are going on. You're right. You're absolutely right, Sam.
So we're seeing them try to get more into the TikTok world of here's a popular news clip. Click here to watch it on our streaming platform.
So here's how smart Skydance is. So you've got David Ellison and Larry Ellison, father and son. Okay. The dad owns Oracle. They can print money. Okay. They can do whatever they want. They can just throw money at it. Okay. Not so much the case with the other networks, okay? So when I was with CBS, my checks came from Paramount because they were the parent owner.
Yes.
So they own CBS Network, CBS TV Stations division, all the TV stations. They own Paramount Plus, MTV, VH1, Showtime, am I missing? Paramount Pictures, Paramount Studios on 4200 Melrose, and whatever. Okay, they own that pot. Skydance just bought all of it for $8.5 billion. One of the first things they've said, so I'm in the generation, I saw MTV go on the air, 1980, video killed the radio star. And it was a brilliant concept back in the day. Well, it's kind of like, now it's like, I'm 16 and I'm pregnant. I mean, it's like not even at all music anymore, okay? Skydance's vow to go bring it back and change it into a music video network. They're gonna change all the things that CBS let slide and go down. And they have vowed to do this, including Showtime, VH1, MTV, and Paramount Pictures. So I worked on Paramount Pictures lot for 2 years because we were going to move CBS Television City there. And there's a waiting list for 3 years for those stages. And when you go through there on a golf cart and you think of all the shows, SpongeBob, I mean, everything you can imagine that has been produced Cecil B. DeMille and the Ten Commandments, and they used a parking lot for the Dead Sea. I mean, this stuff is all kind of reinventing itself. By Francis Ford Coppola bringing this film in Burton to black and white film, he's bringing back film into the thing. Not digital, not red cam. Bringing back film, processed film. So, very, very brief example that I think ties to this. There's this very famous director, real weird oddball in the 20s, Erich von Stroheim. Do you know who he is? Have you heard of him? He was the big guy in the 20s. Gloria Swanson, this hooty snooty movie star lady and all that got everything she wanted and everything, you know, prima donna. But his thing was to make the perfect motion picture. So in film, he would spend hours doing a scene with like candles. And he would push the film, if you know what pushing the film is, ASA or whatever, okay? He would actually spend hours and drive these people nuts with sweats and everything going on to get the perfect image. Fast forward to Stanley Kubrick. Little homework here, write this one down. Write down the movie Barry Lyndon. Go home and watch it tonight. 1975, Stanley Kubrick, who did 2000 Space Odyssey, Clockwork Orange, Full Metal Jacket, whatever, all those movies, okay? So he spent, somebody else did that one. So anyway, he spent hours doing the same thing in this film, which is a brilliant film to watch. It's an art film, to do the candle scenes and everything. Now you guys can all do it on your laptop. The same technology, same outcome. Instantaneous, no time, no pushing of film. Coppola's going to do the same thing out here, though. He's going to revisit almost that Stroheim, Stanley Kubrick art form of film. All my guys that I'm working with out there went to Sundance. You know what that is? Okay, they went out there to Salt Lake or wherever it was, and they met with all the stars and all the people putting motion pictures together. You're going to see, if any of you in here are in the film world of where you're going, and the cinematography, that is a dynamic change going on, which is all part of the same thing. We've got people coming in off the street all over the place. Is he another architect?
No. He was just here. I think he was from the background. But one of the other things you need to realize is, like, when you talk about like the politic version of this, AI is going to play into that too, because they're going to use AI to figure out delivery methods.
Yeah.
So you hear the stories you want to hear, and you don't hear the stories you don't want to hear, which becomes real dangerous. And part of your research project is going to be talking about that.
I hope I didn't bore you guys. I didn't mean to. If you did. Just really looking at, like, to me, you're in the most exciting time in the history of technology to be alive. You're living it right now. And just, I can't even imagine the fun that all of you guys are going to have in your future for where you're headed, especially in architecture.
Well, that's it. Class is over. We're at 12:15 today, so thank you.